Now, this story's a couple months old, right? After that side, Democrat side, Hollywood side, all of their friends, big business side, the elites, okay, out there. They won the election, cool, whatever, can't discuss that on YouTube. And they were coming out saying, oh yeah, no, we need to fight back against this whole cancel culture thing. It's all a bad thing. Sarah Silverman was out there, and stupid Scarlett Johansson, she said that Hollywood should just stick to acting and drop the politics, and all the smooth-brained conservatives out there were like, yay, we got one of our own in Hollywood now. Yeah, I seen through that like a fucking sheer negligee that she used to wear in all of her Hollywood productions back when she used to be hot. I can't deny that. That's a bad bitch right there, okay? 10 years ago when I was still watching movies actively, yeah, she was probably one of the biggest names out there. And if somebody wanted to cast somebody who was attractive, didn't need a lot of acting talent, just needed some eye candy on the screen, call up Scarlett Johansson. It worked for The Island, okay? If Ewan McGregor would have had somebody else to play off of, that would have been a pretty decent, pretty memorable show. But they got Scarlett Johansson because they knew that they needed to hit a certain target audience, and they did. Good on them. And I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I used to be an assistant manager at the movie gallery not that far from me. Yes, a movie rental store way back in the day. And one of the most popular movies when I first started out there was Vicky Cristina Barcelona. It was one of those late 2000 garbage movies where the title really didn't tell you the substance of everything, right? It had big names attached to it, okay? Penelope Cruz, Javier Bardem, and of course, the new kid on the block, Scarlett Johansson, it was in there, okay? Javier Bardem was just coming out from the success of No Country for Old Men. Penelope Cruz, big name. I forget which movies she was in, but she's famous for being famous, I suppose. And that was one of the movies that was just rented for the sake of it being a collection of names. And that, oh, you know, I've heard of that Scarlett Johansson lady before. Let's go see her new movie. And then all of the middle-aged housewives that would take that home. I had one, I specifically remember, she brought it back and she wanted a refund because she started watching it and it was about a threesome in Barcelona. Sucks to suck, but Javier Bardem, lucky man, because back in 2008, what was that? Yeah, 2007, 2008. If you could pull that and Penelope Cruz at the same time, my God, my man. But her name value was through the roof because what? She was a bad bitch back then. No doubt. She was getting all the big roles too, and then all of a sudden, she hopped on the Marvel bandwagon in Iron Man 2, and it went straight to the fucking moon. She made her millions of dollars cashing in on her laughable talent and exceptional good looks, and this was some genius casting by pre-Disney Marvel, okay? This was still when Paramount was putting out the stuff. They brought her in, cast her perfectly, throw on a wig, that's fine, but she needed to fill the role of Black Widow. And who is Black Widow? Well, we have a brief synopsis, obviously, of course, okay? You can't read it that well, and I'm going to be doing some fucking dicking around with the presentation because I'm not totally satisfied with this right now, but I'll link to this page in the description, like I always do. The real name of Black Widow, because Black Widow's a superhero name, obviously. And then Natasha Romanoff grew up to serve as a femme fatale. And what does a femme fatale do? Well, they use all the guiles that are accessible to a woman, i.e. their sexiness, to acquire information and carry out the job of a spy to get to the end of the mission through any means possible. And you know what femme fatales are? Fucking sexy. And you couldn't find anybody else in 2010 who could have fit that bill any better than Scarlett Johansson, okay? Natasha Romanoff normally depicted in the comics as having red hair, and if Lindsay Lohan didn't go down the fucking degenerate path, would have been a decent cast for her, even though we're comparing people who have very, very similar acting talent, i.e. zero. But that's a character, right? Femme fatale, world-renowned spy, expert in hand-to-hand combat, expert marksman, charming and charismatic. That's the role, okay? But then, all of a sudden, guess what? 10 years pass. You're going to be having your final film. Probably not, because nobody's really gone, right? Maybe 36 is a little bit more difficult to keep in tip-top shape as compared to 26 when he first took the role. When he didn't seem to have any problems with being hyper-sexualized. But now, oh, you're a changed woman. I've had a kid, and I'm glad that we don't have to present anybody like that anymore, because the wall comes for them all. Scarlett Johansson is grateful. Black Widow's alter ego, Natasha Romanoff, is no longer hyper-sexualized as she was in Iron Man 2 with lingerie and a low-cut dress. Again, hyper-sexualized can you get for a PG-13 mass consumption superhero movie? Now, if this was Logan or Deadpool, yeah, we might be onto something, but this was Iron Man 2. Up to that point, probably the biggest superhero movie out there. This was pre-Avengers. This was pretty much pre-everybody except for what? Hulk's movie was out, Thor's movie was out, and the original Captain America movie was out. This was a sequel to the one that started it all. And quite frankly, the best MCU movie out there. Iron Man 1. It still holds up. But I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember loving the fuck out of it. And then every one that came after that was just a little bit of a downgrade from there. But hey, I'm not happy about the outcome of this, but apparently Scarlett is the 36-year-old actress. And that's why that one kind of tipped me off. And it's like, yeah, okay, that was you in 2010. That ain't you no more. You ain't looking bad, but at the same time, it's 36. Has played the role of Natasha Romanoff / Black Widow in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for over a decade, and making her debut as a character in 2010 film Iron Man 2, in which she had to model lingerie. Oh my god, a femme fatale presented as being attractive. Whoever could have done that? Those mean, terrible white men who wrote that comic, all of those decades ago, those mean misogynists like Stan Lee, fuck off. And Scarlett, who reprises the role for a 7th time in the upcoming film Black Widow, she's dead by the way, is pleased that the way the character is treated and portrayed on screen has evolved since the first cinematic appearance, which featured Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark talking about Romanoff as a piece of ass. Oh my god. Till she kicked his ass in that boxing ring. Weird. Don't mention that. That's what's classified as hyper-sexualized? Fucking hell. Discussing her own maturing as a woman, and I'm just going to frame that like that. As a woman has affected the portrayal of the character, she said, obviously 10 years have passed and things have happened and I have a much different, more evolved understanding of myself. A few more wrinkles, a few more crow's feet. What are we talking about here? Things aren't quite as perky as they were at 26? Sucks. As a woman, I'm in a different place in my life, you know? Yeah, but the character's the character, okay? I don't care about your feelings. You play adult pretend for a living, okay? The source material doesn't change. Natasha Romanoff is still a sexy spy. And if you can't fill that role anymore, somebody else will. Somebody else can. In Iron Man 2, she wears a tight white blouse when Natasha Rushman meets Tony Stark when she's researching her online and finds a sexy image of her lacy lingerie in bed. Okay, so if Iron Man 2 was made today, he'd be looking through Instagram profiles and then every other fucking ass shot and somebody trying to sell fucking skinny tea would have popped up if he was doing a search for assistance online. All these old broads who fucking hit the wall at, 35 seem to go through this transformation. I see a little picture of Angelina Jolie going through there, and that was somebody who was presented as a sex symbol on the same level as Scarlett Johansson during her time. I didn't find her terribly attractive. I wouldn't go out of my way for her, not like I'd ever find myself in that situation. But still, she went through all of those trials and tribulations. I'm an evolved woman. I can take on those serious roles where I can still continue to be, 110 pounds and beat the living piss out of a dozen men, but don't you dare put me in a low-cut blouse. Again, just terribly hyper-sexualized. Just, the horror. The mother of one continued, and I felt more forgiving of myself. Yes, so I'm allowed to let myself go, and I don't have to worry about fitting into that skin-tight leather suit anymore that is clearly less sexualized. We'll get to the poster, obviously. And yeah, I don't have to take on this role anymore, and I can rest on my laurels going forward, so I can forgive myself. Let's see how many more roles you get after this. Keeping up with this attitude. As a woman, and sometimes probably not enough, I'm more accepting of myself, I think. Sounds like a strong statement. All of that is related to the move away from the kind of hyper-sexualization of this character, and I mean, you look back to Iron Man 2, and while it was really fun and I had a lot of great moments in it, the character is so sexualized, you know? You don't get it. You don't get it. or you're just rewriting history in order to fit today's narrative. Yeah, it really talked about like she was a piece of something, like a possession or a thing or whatever, like a piece of ass really, and Tony even refers to her as something like that at one point. I want some. Yeah, because you look like that. Tony Stark's a man. But again, you don't bring up the fact that you beat the living piss out of how many fucking security guards while Happy Hogan took the entire time it took for you to beat up those dozen security guards, and he beat up one barely, and you did it without breaking a sweat. Or again, I'll bring up the boxing scene where he kicks this shit, or where she kicks this shit out of Tony Stark. You subverted those expectations now, didn't you? But no, it's just because you can't pull off this look anymore. Because what, you gotta look like this? You gotta look like the fucking Big Pen spokesperson? Damn, that's a big old head and some really, really awful hair decisions. But again, that's who you're supposed to be portraying. That right there, that's Black Widow. If you can't do it anymore, just come out and say it. I don't want to do it anymore, okay? Just don't make it a whole dog and pony show that you think that all of a sudden, oh, the hyper-sexualization of her 10 years ago was just so terrible and awful. And we have to move past that, and I'm just so much more than that. You can't do it anymore. We get it. Father Time is undefeated. But this is just another one of those stories that further cements the downfall and degradation of modern-day Marvel. I've seen the reviews of WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and now the ongoing Loki, and I find myself totally uncaring about all this. And Black Widow movie's supposed to be coming out very, very soon, I guess. July 9th, I guess. By the early reviews right now, it's pretty much just talking in different locations and very little action scenes, which is great and should definitely do gangbusters, because the parent company of Marvel, Disney, its most recent outing, Cruella, really did some fucking great work at the box office, and this looks primed to do the same. I really do wish Hollywood would just hurry up and die already, so from the ashes something decent can arise, because I'm about done with these same stories with just a little tiny alterations, just a little bit different dialogue, same basic 3-act structure over and over again with everything, or it's a remake of something that I used to like with just less charismatic actors. So yeah, Godspeed Black Widow, Godspeed Scarlett, because I hate to break it to you, you ain't Glenn Close, you ain't Meryl Streep. Fucking Christ, you aren't even Elizabeth Taylor, for Christ. You're gonna find your 40s a hell of a lot tougher, but you already made your millions anyway, so you can go ahead and try to poison the well for anybody else trying to make a living out there. But with that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Catch y'all later.